It's finally here. After more than 200 years, it's finally here. And I am talking about the new criminal code for Dominican Republic. And just so you get an idea of how long we've been waiting for this criminal code to come out, I'll tell you that our last criminal code dates back to the 1800s.
Damn!
Yes, that's right. The last criminal code that we had here in the Dominican Republic dates back to 1884. There weren't even electricity lamps in most homes back then. In fact, some lawyers even say that the criminal code that we had that dates back to 1884 wasn't really from 1884. It was from way back, from 1804, from Napoleon's times.
El Código Penal que nosotros tenemos hoy, la gente dice 1884, pero ese código no es del 1884. Ese código es del 1804. Ese código es un código napoleónico francés que lo trajeron los haitianos, nos lo impusieron en francés, ni siquiera traducido en principio. Y si no se hizo el trabajo de traducirlo en 1884, mucho menos de adecuarlo. O sea que nosotros tenemos un código de más de 200 años, no de 141 años, como se dice.
But alas, we have a new criminal code here in the Dominican Republic. It has just been approved and promulgated by the president. And even though our new criminal code is 177 pages long, you don't have to read it because I did research a lot and I hope to give you the lowdown on just how outdated the old penal code was and tell you the biggest novelty things that were added to our new penal code and why I, for one, am super excited about it. Also, we're going to be talking about a little chismes going on with this penal code. Also, we're going to talk about a little bit of chisme that has been going on with this new penal code, the controversy surrounding it, and why our dear old president might have to sleep on the sofa for the next few days. And if you're new to my channel, hi, my name is Ellie, and on this channel we talk all things Dominican Republic. So if you want to know about the places that I think you might want to see, chit chat about current events, or simply learn about life here or how things work or how much things cost in the Dominican Republic, then go ahead and subscribe. The first thing that jumped out at me when I heard about our old criminal law is that the maximum sentence ever was only 30 years. You can commit the worst crime in the book and still you would only get the maximum sentence of 30 years. To me, that was so little, especially because I did live a long time in my life in the United States, and over there you get like 2 life sentences consecutively.
And like 60 years on top of 80 years, and you see sentences like over 100 years with no possibility of parole.
And you get these huge sentences that you know no one in their life is ever going to be able to fulfill, not even if they come back from the dead. And so when it came to the Dominican Republic, it was so underwhelming to see like the actual maximum sentence in the land was only 30 years. So now, one of the things that I did like about the new penal code is the fact that the maximum sentence is extended from 30 years to 40 years. And it's also cumulative, which is another outdated thing that the old one didn't have. It wasn't even a cumulative sentence. So now you can get cumulative sentences up to 60 years. Even though I would personally have liked to have like lifelong sentences, I think 60 years is pretty good considering that the law is provided usually for adults. So if you are convicted of something horrible for the time that you are 18 years old and you have to spend 60 years in jail, and that means that by the time you get out of jail, you're gonna be such an old man that you basically spent your life in jail. So I think that's good enough for me. Another thing that was really outdated about the old penal code is that it didn't even take into account corporate responsibility. So basically, you could not sue a company for committing a crime. This new penal code does allow for companies to be sued and not only people. So that is a really good thing, especially when you learn that there are a lot of corporate shenanigans going on and there wasn't even any way to actually sue the company. You had to sue a person in itself. So now we're going to be able to hold companies criminally responsible for things. Another thing that was really outdated in the old criminal law was the fact that there was a lot of crimes being committed that weren't even typified in it. For example, something as basic as being a hitman was actually not typified in the old code. And now in the new code, you have a specific crime that is called being a hitman, in Spanish, sicariato. And all in all, there are more than 90 new crimes that are typed in the new criminal code. And so you have things like bullying and cyberbullying, and those two specifically have gotten some controversy and backlash. At first, I find it hard to believe that those specific types of crimes weren't even typified in the old criminal law. But then it's like, dang, our old law dates back to when cars were not even invented yet. Another super outdated thing about our old criminal code is that it didn't even include a stricter regulation on sexual predators. There was no such thing as like a registry for sexual predators. There was no sanctions on whether they could go back and work in like a school if they did something against a minor, for example. Nothing like that in the old code. So thankfully in this new code, they create a registry for sexual predators, and some of the sanctions include the fact that if you're in that registry, you can't work in a school or you must stay away from your victim. And so at least we have that. We're going to be able to know if a person is on that registry, and immediately you can veto them for certain jobs, which is awesome. When I tell you that Dominican Republic was waiting for this new criminal code to come out of Congress for years, I truly mean it, because this thing has been discussed in Congress for more than 20 years.
It's been 84 years.
In fact, 2 prior presidents actually vetoed the law after it was already approved. So now let's talk about a little chisme and controversy regarding this new criminal code, because there are tons of controversies.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now.
Now, the biggest reason, in my opinion, why this piece of legislature spent more than 20 years being discussed in Congress were 3 clauses. 3 clauses regarding what, you may ask? Abortion. That was the topic of the land for the last 20 years regarding our penal code. Right now, our Dominican Constitution regards the right to life from conception up to natural death. And that is why in our criminal law, you can't really legalize abortion if you're going to go according to the Constitution. So instead of legalizing abortion outright here in the Dominican Republic, what congressmen were talking about was to legalize abortion in 3 different clauses. One of the clauses was legalizing abortion in case of rape or incest. The other one was legalizing abortion in the case that the life of the mother was in danger. And the third one was legalizing abortion in case the fetus had some type of disease that made it inviable with life outside the womb. I'm gonna hold out from my perception of everything just because I don't want this video to get too political. I just want to tell you the facts. But feel free to let me know in the comments below what you think of these 3 clauses regarding abortion. Now, obviously, since this is a very heated topic, congressmen lasted years to decide whether to even include the clauses inside the legislature piece. There was a huge divide between different congressmen and senators, and at the end, congressmen realized if we keep discussing these 3 clauses, we are never gonna get a current and modern criminal code. So in the end, they decided to go without the 3 clauses, and so abortion is still illegal in the country, and they were able to pass the criminal code with all the other changes that they had discussed. Now, of course, I told you at the beginning of the video that I think our president might be sleeping on the sofa in these last few days. And that is because our first lady, our president's wife, was outspoken, and she was in favor of the 3 clauses being included in the penal code. And so were the president's daughters. They even signed a petition to ask the president not to promulgate the law. So basically, they wanted our president to veto the law if it was ever passed in Congress. And the president didn't do that. He went out and promulgated the law. And so right now, there might be issues in that household. Who knows? Maybe the president is even sleeping in his sofa, or his daughters are angry at him. I don't know. What do you guys think? And the second huge controversy regarding this penal code is about freedom of speech. And that is because the new code includes articles that typify as a crime bullying and cyberbullying. But what I think the controversy is not that it includes bullying and cyberbullying, but the definition that the criminal code itself gives for these crimes. Among one of the definitions that are included for bullying and cyberbullying includes insulting and commenting on someone in an insulting fashion.
Oigan esto. Quien a través de cualquier medio o plataforma digital comparte o difunde información personal, foto, video o cualquier otro tipo de material íntimo o humillante. O sea, puede ser que tú tienes una opinión que resulta humillante para una gente porque tú estás compartiendo una vaina, cualquier otro tipo de material, o envíe mensaje, correo electrónico, comentario, o sea, los comentarios en Instagram. Pena de 2 a 5 años de prisión y multa de 15 salarios, de 9 a 15 salarios mínimos.
¿Tú quieres que yo te diga algo? Así como eso está, todos los medios, los convencionales y los alternativos y los perfiles van a desaparecer.
Atención, memeros. Atención a todo aquel que haga humor a través de las redes sociales. El simple hecho de burlarse de una persona a través de redes sociales podría ser considerado ciberbullying. Y el ciberbullying va a ser penado también por este Código Penal con prisión. Por ende, adiós memeros, adiós comediantes.
And that is what has a lot of influencers up in arms, saying that we are no longer able to have free speech in the country. All political commentary must go away or must be typed as a crime, because if you even insult or comment against someone, and that is now regarded as bullying or cyberbullying if you do it online. And so it is a very ambiguous and very open definition, and I think that might be able to be revised, because I definitely agree with those that are commenting on this definition for bullying and cyberbullying. I think it should be on stricter terms and it shouldn't be so ambiguous and open. So guys, all in all, I'm super happy that we finally have a new criminal code that is kind of up to date with modern times. And even though a lot of the articles might be revised in the next few months, I am super happy that we at least have something that we can say, well, there are stricter regulations. Well guys, that was the summary of our old outdated penal code and how the new one comes to make it a little bit better. I would love to know your commentary down below. Let's get the conversation started, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.